This is part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, the link is in the description below or right here. Check it out. What would you want to know when you started the business? What about repeat customers? Do you have a lot of them? How do you retain them? Are you focusing mainly on residential and commercial, both? Why?
It's a really profitable thing, especially the faster and more efficient you are, the more money you make. When you start, you want the work, so you're more inclined to bid a lower price because you don't want them to turn you down.
What one of those services has the highest margin just by default?
Before you know it, you'll have more work than you can handle.
As far as like you do fencing, you do the brick, you do all those works, what one of those services has the highest margin just by default?
Pavers and retaining walls are the highest profit margin. They're also the most physical labor. There's a pretty set standard in each area of the country for the prices. So that's a nice thing when you're starting out. There's not a whole lot of guessing. You can price it out in your area and find out what a going rate is. Here we're anywhere from $24 to $44 a square foot for pavers. So we have a price range that we know where we need to shoot for. And that price range, like I said, it's a really profitable thing, especially the faster and more efficient you are, the more money you make.
Well, there you go. That's another business idea for you guys. Start a pavers company, right?
Yeah, it's
and just focus on that one thing.
Yeah,
and blow it out of the water.
And there's a lot of guys who do that because you get really good at it. You get a really specialty
thing, just focus on that one thing.
And then people get to know you for that, and before you know it, you'll have more work than you can handle.
What struggles did you face with when you started out that maybe you're still facing today?
So I would say the biggest struggles when you start out are that you want to get as much work as you can. So on top of that, typically when you start out, you're not really well versed on how much you need to bid or allocate for things. So if I look at a job when I first started out and thought to myself, that's going to take me a week to do, I could be way off. It might take me 3 weeks to do.
There's a learning curve.
And there's a huge learning curve in your estimating part of that. And like I said, coupled with the fact that when you start, you want the work, so you're more inclined to bid a lower price because you don't want them to turn you down. That part of it for me over the years has been a big learning curve, and getting to where you're confident in the amount that you're bidding and how much time it's going to take and how many guys it's going to take and what materials it's going to take, all that stuff together, that took a long time to learn that.
Well, now that you know that, what can you tell our viewers that they can learn from this episode as they're starting out to not maybe make those same mistakes?
Sure, just do a lot of research. Do a lot of, you want to go out and just really get your numbers down when you're bidding projects. Don't be afraid to walk around and measure everything out and figure out exactly how many materials. Just take your time when you're bidding projects, because the last thing you want to do is go back to a client and tell them that you need more money to finish their project. That's something no one wants to hear.
Let's talk about margins real quick. What do they look like for you? What's your target? And then maybe out of all the services that you do, what has the highest, most exciting profit margins that you just wake up for every morning?
So for us, anytime? We're really looking for about a 50% profit.
That's a pretty good goal to
as far
go
as
for.
With landscaping goes, you should be making a good 50% profit margin, because really what you're selling, the materials are expensive, but what you're really selling is the labor. And so if your guys are doing a good job or you're doing a good job, you should be able to walk away from any project knowing that you did a bunch of physical labor and you got paid for that value. It's the physical labor that you need to make it worth your while, because this isn't a job that you can do for 50 years by yourself. Right. At some point, you're going to get worn out. So you got to make enough money that you can put some away, so that you're not 80 years old trying to lift rocks or bricks.
Yeah. What about repeat customers? Do you have a lot of them? How do you retain them?
Quality right there is your
Yep.
answer.
It's all
Quality and
interconnected.
customer service. We have, typically about 50% of our customers are repeat customers. We will, with landscaping projects, a lot of times it's like a remodel in your house. You do one part of your yard and then you're like, now the other part of the yard doesn't look so great. And so we have customers that do, a project every year, and we kind of come back and do another phase and another phase. And like I said, really just your quality and your customer service. Keep those people so that the next time they want to do a project, they're going to call you because the last one you did for them turned out great and you were great to work with.
Yep.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, did you guys hear that? It's all about quality and servicing and serving your customers. So I'm really curious, from all of you guys that are currently running a landscaping business, how are you standing out from your competition as far as quality? How have you shown your customer, your client, that you're above and beyond quality-wise and service-wise than maybe your competitor? Really interesting to hear from you guys, so comment below and ask any questions as well that we can then respond to you on our blog. Brian, tell us one or two entrepreneurial hacks that maybe you have learned in the past 26 years.
Okay, well, I think probably the most important thing is just get up every day and get out there and do something about improving your life and improving your job. Wake up, get at it. Whether you have a job lined up or not, if you don't have a job lined up, get up and work on your marketing or work on advertising. Just get up every day and show up and do things.
Any particular time I should get up? That really
know,
makes a difference? I mean, I could get up at 10 a.m.
Yeah, so I guess that does make a difference. I would say, realistically, we try to get started between 6 and 7 every day in the morning. The nice thing is you get up in the morning and it gives you more time in the day, and if you finish early, then you get more time at night. So
yeah, you get started before everybody else. Yeah. You can get more done and be more productive. Yeah. That's awesome. How much do you pay your employees, and how do you keep them loyal to keep the retention high?
Sure. So
any secrets there?
I tell people all the time, my guys are my business. I couldn't do this by myself. And finding good guys is
tough,
really tough. That's one of the hardest aspects of owning a business. For my crew, I pay the guys well. The guys all make $25 an hour.
That is very fair.
And then, on top of that, I try to be a really flexible boss as long as they let me know what their schedule's like. We've got guys that have family and stuff, so try to be flexible if they need time off. I'm not one of those guys who freaks out. We can always adjust our crew. Our crew can be really flexible. We can have 2 guys one day if we need to, and we can still get our job done. I like to keep my guys ahead of the going rate for everyone else, So
it means you value them.
A year ago, everyone was making $20 an hour because that was still better than everyone else. And then we bumped them up to $25 because everyone else was kind of in that $20 to $22 range for experienced guys. So that's a big thing for me, is just whatever you can to let them know that they're appreciated, because
absolutely,
they really are helping build the business.
Are you focusing mainly on residential and commercial, both? Why? If you can elaborate on that. We've got a little slide here.
For us, we focus on residential. I've done commercial landscaping in the past. So because of what our end goal is quality above all else, and really being able to design and do our own unique things that'll set us apart from other people. The problem with commercial is you get a plan and you have to follow it. Whether it's the right thing to do or not, you have to follow it to a T.
You don't have that flexibility.
And also, the other thing about commercial landscaping is that it requires a lot of money up front. Whereas residential landscaping, we take a 50% deposit on the job before we start, which essentially allows us to purchase all our materials safely without us having to worry about eating that cost if something goes wrong. Commercial landscaping, you cover that cost. When you start a project, all of that you have to cover. The other thing is, with commercial landscaping, like I said, there's not a lot of flexibility to it, and you have to not only do all the installs per what they say, even if it's not the right plants or systems. And then you have to warranty that work for a few years. You know, we warranty all our work, but we know exactly what it is. And if it's not the right thing, we can change it. We stick to just residential.
Did you sell them on warranty particularly? And
yeah, so
stay behind your work?
we have always said from the very beginning that we stand behind our work 100%. You know, a lot of our stuff has a 5 or a 10-year warranty on it, but I tell people all the time, even if it's 6 years or 11 years,
call me up,
because we're going to see what we can do to make it right. And I think that's one of the things that really helps us out a lot is you know, everything when you first do an install, and then a customer calls you a month or two down the road and says this plant isn't surviving, and you know, the first thing I'll do is I'll say, well, we'll be right there and we'll replace it. And that's something a lot of guys haven't figured out. You know, once they're done with the job, they're kind of gone, and that's it. And so we always reassure our customers, you know, we're here to give you something that's going to last a long time, and that we're going to stand behind our work 100%. Whether it's a mistake we made or just a product that failed, you know, we go back and try to make it right.
Absolutely. You guys, I just want to remind you of our UpFlip blog, which is in the description below. That's where you guys can ask more questions. That's where we answer and provide more content that we're not able to get in our episodes. So please utilize that as a tool. It's there for you. What would you want to know when you started the business?
I mean, some of the biggest things it would just be not to undercut yourself.
Is that a big one? Yeah, because you mentioned that a couple times already.
Yeah, I mean, you can really,
a big thing.
It's really hard when you start out to not put enough value on what you're doing.
How do our viewers avoid that?
You just have to, like I said, do your due diligence, do your research, kind of find out what other guys in your area are charging. You know, no one's out here, we're not trying to undercut anyone, but you want to be sure that you're hitting that mark somewhere in the same range as everyone else. And then, like I said before, just taking your time when you're doing a job, when you're bidding a job, to kind of think about all the unknowns, and always give yourself extra. When we're figuring out pavers, we give ourselves extra in case we run short or something changes. Gravel, dirt, plants, I mean, anything. Just always give yourself extra. And the nice thing about that is you can use that extra we try to give our clients a little bonus here and there, you know, on every project. We try to do something extra that we didn't plan for.
That goes a long way, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it just helps, you know, your customers see that, and they know they didn't pay you to do that. And so you can do that without eating into your profit.
Brian, I really enjoyed this. I'm sure you guys have as well. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you.
Appreciate it. What an incredible journey, as we heard from Brian, owner of BL Landscapes. You guys, he's got quite the story, and I know you all do. So I hope you've taken a lot from his lessons, his advice, his tips on how to start a landscaping business, how to grow it. We're here for you. We're here to create this amazing content, so thank you for watching. Make sure you check out all our other videos on our channel. If you haven't subscribed already, you know what I'm gonna say, please do so right now, and don't miss other amazing content and episodes coming up. Thank you.